Looking at UVTV, motherfucker. I'm gonna kick spiritual ass and dudes for my people. On God. Neon nigga fella me up. And today I'm gonna be talking about how monogamy and polygamy are utilized as programming and virtue signaling for Gen Z relationships. And it's not really just Gen Z for the most part, because I'm Gen Z. But like I'm just trying to make that shit like relatable in some way, shape, or form. I'm trying to make it relatable, and I'm trying to make it relative. It's not really just Gen Z, it's really millennials. And if you ask me, that shit really started off with millennials, to be honest. Of transforming the way of how we look at that shit for the most part. And then them crafting that and new age type of tactics and stuff like that. AKA look at that as like internet and social media and stuff like that, and online discourse and blog spaces, and pushing that out on different television and stuff like that, all the way down to TV and entertainment and like movies and like plays and stuff like that. The Romeo Juliet concept and stuff like that. I'm gonna get into that, but for the most part, right, how both are utilized, and it's really some type of self-projection energy, because a lot of this is derived from monotheism and that one God concept, or that one deity concept, and polytheism, aka multiple deities and stuff like that, is really derived from that. Monotheism and polytheism derive into monogamy and polygamy for the most part, because they always have to have some type of flag pole or stamp in some type of program when it comes to business, entertainment, religion, politics, science, philosophy, you know what I'm saying? Like language, culture, you know what I'm saying? Like they always want to have their facial representation and have some type of westernized union type of thinking to put you in a certain magic square, or put you in a certain box of how you're supposed to be looking at shit, and they going to be the first examples of how to look at it, and you can't see it no other way without actually thinking for yourself and trying to look at it from a more broader angle, or just learn through experiences and stuff like that, and things that actually make sense, and things that are relative that you see on a day-to-day basis, instead of looking at it from their way of looking at it based upon what they look at as God or all possibilities. No, you try to make it possible in every shape, form, or faction, not just their way of what the government, aka the government, the governing mentality. So whatever mentality that they're trying to push onto you, so they can stay in control and stay in rulership and stuff like that, when it comes to how to relate in relationships and stuff like that. So it's just them self-projecting, them being the practitioners of something, but they're not upholding the like they can't have no type of moral high ground, because that's really all it is. They can't really have no moral high ground and try to self-project some type of practice, but they're not the practitioners of that practice for the most part. So what I mean, so they're not practicing what they preach. So they basically just being charlatans for the most part. You know what I'm saying? They basically being like the most ultimate con artists and stuff like that, right? Because all the way down to the Romeo and Juliet concept and stuff like that, because a lot of that came from European type of thinking in medieval times and stuff like that. But this is based upon the old world, and then coming into the new world, aka the Americans and stuff like that, and father of a nation, or father of a multitude in the Abrahamic God, and Christopher Columbus type of thinking for the most part, and bringing motherfuckers on boats, and bringing foreigner mentality, stranger mentality. So it's like y'all wouldn't be into rulership just in general without this type of thinking for the most part. So they'll say these things based upon their holy texts, and have these different programs out here based upon some Romeo romantic comedy, romantic movie concept and stuff like that, as different ways when it comes to entertainment and stuff like that, and different ways how to conduct relationship, and like prenups, and monogamous relationships, and upholding certain ceremonies and tradition when it comes to marriage and stuff like that, and the wedding cake, and the bride and the groom, and jumping over the broom and shit like that. You know what I'm saying? Like they'll have all these different things out here to show you as examples of what it means to be in relationship, or be in bondage, or be committed to somebody and stuff like that, so they can have some type of business aspect and a monetary gain over it in some way, shape, or form. And that's really all that is. Because for the most part, right, y'all know how I be saying, right, everything is based upon a spirit, mind, body concept. And I know motherfuckers who agnostic or atheists gonna be watching this shit, and niggas gonna be like, oh, I'm just being pseudo because I'm bringing like spirituality into it and stuff like that. Replace the word spirit with individuality. Replace the word spirit with the space that you in, and you know what you want in and out your space, and you know we have a distance of space. So all the way down to COVID and that social distancing concept and stuff like that. That's what social distancing is. Okay, we have space between me and you. I have my own mind, my own sentience, my own lifestyle, and the way I think, and you have your own way of thinking and feeling and emotions and your own mind and your own psyche and stuff like that, right? So replace the word spirit with space, or replace the word spirit with individuality, or replace the word spirit with creating something for yourself, cultivating something. Replace it with that. So it's being born in begetting children and stuff like that, being born into existence. So look at that as the overall existence of something. For something to exist, it needs to have some type of sentience, it needs to have some type of life. So it's moving, it's changing all the way down like the seasons and stuff like that. That's something that's based upon the atmosphere, in the sphere, in the world atmosphere that we in, based upon the sun and the moon and the clouds condensing and the different environments and surroundings and geographical locations and the sun pockets and the moon pockets and the moon phases and stuff like that, all the way down to the anatomy of it, of the different time. That's why we have different time zones and shit like that, and the anatomy of it, the body, the physical, the material. You get what I'm saying? So for the most part, right, from you understanding everything that I'm talking about right now, right? Spirit, mind, body, birth, life, death, and us being in the death realm, the physical realm, because we're going to end up dying one day, but we can cultivate something while we in this lifetime at the moment and give life to it. So after we dead and gone, we going to ascend into that heaven, or look at that as that sweet spot of this space we would like to be in when we no longer here in the flesh, and the lighter shape and form of the flesh is the mind, because the body mimic the mind and the mind mimic the space that you in, the things you're creating for yourself, your spirit. You know what I'm saying? So your mind is your light body, and your body is your physical body. You know what I'm saying? Your second body. It's just the physical shape and form, and the blood and the organs and the adrenaline and all that type shit that comes after the fact from what your mind is doing. Because your mind has to be motivated and be in some type of thought, vision, dream, imagination, mental stimulation, stimuli to make you motivated to be in that feeling, to be in that emotion. Emotion is just essentially moving. You know what I'm saying? Emote. Essentially moving, or at least how I like to look at it. You're essentially moving. If you're in a certain emotion, it's based upon the feeling that you're in, and you're moving in that feeling. You get what I'm saying? But that's a different video, the difference between emotions and feelings and shit. So replace the words monotheism and monogamy, and you know how it means to be in bondage or married to one person, place, or thing for the most part. You know what I'm saying? You're in a relationship with them. You know what I'm saying? Like it went from boyfriend to girlfriend to wife and husband and stuff like that. Holy matrimony. Okay, you're in bondage with them. You're in wedlock with them. You know what I'm saying? Like you're committed to them. So it's the same thing when it comes to relationships, and you relate that to your thoughts, because I'm gonna make this in a lighter shape and form, right? In some way, shape, or form, so you can get it, like you can see it more broad. So the lighter shape or form is your mentality, right? Your mentality is just an accumulation and abundance of different thoughts, ideas, feelings, and emotions, right? When it comes to different thoughts, ideas, feelings, and emotions, right? Y'all play that out when it comes to monogamy and monotheism and polytheism to monogamy and polygamy in some way, shape, or form. Y'all do that when it comes to y'all thoughts. Y'all have sex with y'all thoughts. Look at sex, not physical sex and pleasure, even though it can come out of that. Is you taking two different energies and then y'all combine it together in a pleasurable type way. So a masculine and feminine, externalizing, internalizing, providing and supporting the father, the mother, you know what I'm saying? Building something and nurturing something for the most part. Combine that together to make a different feeling, like a different emotion. You're combining two different thoughts, ideas, feelings, and emotions to make a new emotion out of it. In a nutshell, that's all that is. To make it like mad simple. Y'all do that when it comes to when y'all get really passionate about something and motivated to do something. It's an accumulation of you being in that feeling and combining that into different scenarios, different spaces, and your individual outlook of how you would be trying to conduct that dream or vision or imagination from being in that space. So you have your own individual way of looking at it, but the thing that you're trying to do is trying to make the space, the different spaces that you're in, and make it relative to your individual way of looking at it. So you have your subjective point of view, and we make the overall point of view out of that. We make an objective, and the objective is the accumulation of all our subjective point of views and stuff like that. So everyone has their own individual mentality. Everyone has their own individual space. Look at that as like your soul, and it's gonna accumulate into different spaces. aka look at that as different spirits. So the overall of our individuality is going to create the overall reality that we living in right now, just in general and stuff like that, right? So based upon that, I'm pulling this into when it comes to the monogamous shit and the polyamorous shit for the most part, right? So if you're in bondage or in a relationship or married or committed to that one thing, look at that as, to make that like really relative to like a day-to-day type person and stuff like that, right? Look at that as you being a one-track minded type person. So you really in bondage with that one thing. You know what I'm saying? That, like from you being in bondage or married or in a relationship or committed to that one thing, that's you being a one-track minded person. Now, it can turn into stubbornness or consistency based upon how fixated you is into it, but is based upon that economy and stuff like that, is either going to play out as you being stuck in your ways, or you're just really consistent with that one thing because that's the thing you really into. That's the thing you really like. So look at that as like a one-track minded person, right? Now, look at a polyamorous person as a versatile person. You know what I'm saying? Like a multifaceted person. Okay, they're committed to their way of looking at things, but they like to have multiple different perspectives of how to go about it too, though, at the same time. So it's like you serving two masters. A person who's in a monogamy and into monotheism, that's like a one-track minded type person and stuff like that. So it's like they stick to what they like, and they like you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm trying to think of a different example, like tunnel vision. They're like a tunnel vision minded person. I'm not trying to say that's bad. I'm trying to say they're going to be more akin to people who are tunnel vision. You know what I'm saying? They only focus on that one thing. You know what I'm saying? They ain't multitasking like that. They like focusing on one thing at a time. You know what I'm saying? That's the type of space that they put themselves in from even being into that. I'm just using different words to show y'all the overall space of someone who will be into monotheism or into monogamous type of relationship and stuff like that. You are one of a time. I mean, you try to focus on one thing at a time type of person. A polyamorous person, they're fine being multifaceted. They're fine with multitasking. They're fine with being committed to multiple different things at the same time. So look at the same thing like I'm just saying right now, right? You like to share or be married or a relative and like to be committed to one of your thoughts, one of your feelings, one of your emotions, right? A polyamorous type person or a polygamous type of person, they like being attracted to multiple different persons, multiple different thoughts, multiple different feelings, multiple different emotions at the same time. They like to multitask. They like to, you know what I'm saying? They like hearing multiple different perspectives. And then the monogamous type of person, they just like hearing one perspective that's relative to what the person is already into for the most part. So they only like hearing that one little thing and like to be in a one bubble of how to look at it. A polyamorous person like having multiple different bubbles while also being in their own bubble at the same time. You get what I'm saying? So look at that as like the monogamous type person, they're sticking to what they know. And from them sticking to what they know, that's why they always get that traditional tag on them and stuff like that. They're sticking to what they know for the most part. So from them sticking to what they know, and that's not, there is no morality yet. There is no good or bad, right or wrong way of how to look at it and stuff like that. You're just going to look at it in a way of what's right for you and what's, you know what I'm saying? Like what will be counterproductive to you. So like what would be wrong to you in some way, shape or form without the self-projection type of energy and stuff like that. It's a self thing first. So from it being a self thing first, and y'all be doing this on a lighter scale when it comes to y'all thoughts, right? You can have certain thoughts, feelings, and emotions that's relative to you based upon what you look at as your moral compass and what would you look at as right and wrong for you to do, not self-projected on some type of high moral ground and stuff like that, or what you suggest other people to do. No, it's just something that's productive or counterproductive for you doing stuff like that. So everyone knows their own limitations. Everyone be knowing themselves, and they know what they're capable of and what they're not capable of. And based upon that, they start looking at it like, okay, if I did that and stuff like that, I'm more comfortable doing that thing because, you know what I'm saying, I want to get intention in that way. And then certain other things from different scenarios, you just like based upon the circumstance and situation, of course, right? You'll look at it like, you know what, I want to do that. You know what I'm saying? That'd be counterproductive. This will really hold me back from accomplishing this dream or playing out this thought or this feeling or emotion in actuality in some way, shape, or form. Because, and it's not even like you caring about the external representation of how people gonna look at you and stuff like that. You just look at it like, I'm not really on that type of timing right now. You know what I'm saying? I'd rather stick to what I know. If this was like a monogamous type person, and then a polyamorous type person, right, they'll stick to multiple different thoughts, multiple different feelings, multiple different emotions and stuff like that. So they're just like, well, in actuality, I like playing out all the different scenarios and shit like that. I'm not going to stick to what I know. I like playing out a whole bunch of different perspectives, and then eventually it's going to start to me winding down what actually worked for me and stuff like that, and it's going to start getting more monogamous. So it's going to get more monotheistic and stuff like that. It's going to start getting more single track minded and stuff like that. I'd rather just play out all the different characteristics and see what worked for me and what don't type shit. So in general, right, it's like the same way. Sometimes it's good because I want y'all to understand different ups and downs. You know what I'm saying? And everything is relative based upon the circumstance and situation and stuff like that. And it's not what y'all doing, it's how y'all doing it. So based upon the how, right, sometimes you have to be the leader of the situation and listen to your first mind and intuition and stuff like that, and go with your gut feeling, gut instinct of what would work for you. And that's from you putting yourself first based upon you having some type of good relationship with yourself first. So that's, if you have a good relationship with yourself first and have good self-esteem, you're gonna do something that's based upon your first mind and your intuition more often than not, and you're gonna lead head charge with your way of how to go about it. And then if motherfuckers want to follow your blueprint and your manuscript, how you doing it, because you know how to lead charge with your example how to do it, and it's naturally and organically relative, and people will be like, oh yeah, I'm inspired by that and stuff like that because I like how he did it. You know what I'm saying? It's not about the what, it's about how. Oh, I like how this motherfucker did because of this and the third, so be it. But sometimes you have to sit back and you have to be a spectator and stuff like that. So sometimes it's good to lead and put yourself first, and then sometimes it's good to relate and have some type of shared value and look at other people's ways of relating and stuff like that. So the monogamous type person will be, if this was astrology, like more in the first house type of energy, and then the polyamorous type person, right? Or so in a polytheism, that's like a 7th house type person. So they care about the relationship. They, like you know what I'm saying? Like multiple different shared values, multiple different relationships and stuff like that, and being relative or being relatable and stuff like that. So they're gonna try to have multiple different ways of how to relate different thoughts, different feelings and stuff like that. As long as it comes across as relative, as long as it comes across as relatable and stuff like that. And y'all know what the fuck I mean when I say that on like a lighter scale and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? Like y'all have that one friend who always trying to be relatable and stuff like that. And then sometimes it may come off as fake because behind closed doors, when they're around your ass, because you might be their best friend, they act one way. But then the minute they start getting around people, they want things to be equalized and balanced and stuff like that. So they're gonna go out their way to try to make, you know what I'm saying, to try to act relatable, try to act nice because of this and the third. And behind closed doors, when they talking to your ass, if it's like some Libra ass motherfucker and stuff like that, they be talking about how they don't even like some of these people and shit like that, but they want to keep things balanced and equalized and stuff like that. So they want to do that to keep things relatable. So they're going to try to initiate and create new ways to be relatable in some way, shape, and form, right? And it's putting others over themselves type shit. But at the end of the day, that is how they be relatable. That is them being themselves in some way, shape, or form. They're going to try to relate different thoughts, ideas, feelings, and emotions of their ways of being relatives and stuff like that. So it's going to lead into some type of polyamorous type of thinking for the most part. But y'all be doing that when it comes to y'all thoughts, ideas, feelings, and emotions all the time based upon the situation and the circumstance. Sometimes it's good to sit back and listen to what's going on and take advice, and then sometimes it's good to be the example and lead head charge of your way of how to go about it. And if motherfuckers want to follow suit based upon your way of doing it and they get inspired, so be it, from you putting yourself first and stuff like that. So everything I'm saying right now, when it comes to the monotheism type of way of looking at it and the polytheism type of way of looking at it, all in all of it is man-made concepts and stuff like that. And all in all, they're both based upon a bias, because one bias is single-minded type of thinking, and then another bias is a multitude of different perspectives of thinking and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? Multiple ways and different perspectives how to go about it than just your way of how to go about it and shit like that. So for the most part, y'all understand what the fuck I'm trying to say. One is more singular, and one is more fixated in multiple. So for me getting that out the way and stuff like that, here's how they end up putting y'all into some type of Magic Square programming thinking, Romeo and Juliet type of thinking and stuff like that, or some type of whole face type of thinking. I'm not trying to say either one is bad and stuff like that, right? I'm basically trying to say this is why those type of circumstances and situations happen, and why do I have certain things when it comes to these churches and living in holy matrimony and stuff like that, when it comes to different relationships and stuff like that, and being married to something. When y'all be married to your own thoughts, ideas, feelings, and emotions based upon y'all own likes and dislikes, and what y'all feel like y'all purpose is in life and stuff like that, and based upon y'all different desires and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? You could be married to your favorite food and shit like that. Nigga, you could be married to a fucking PS5. Y'all can be married to your Xbox Series X or some shit like that. You can be married to your circumstances and stuff like that. Nigga, you could be married to living a rich lifestyle and stuff like that. You can be married and committed to living in the hood or some shit like that. You could be married or committed to being middle class and stuff like that. I'm just making different examples for the most part. You could be married to your own way of thinking. You know what I'm saying? You could be married to a certain emotion and feeling and stuff like that. Okay, look at that as, oh, I always want to feel good and I never want to feel bad and stuff like that. That's you running away from life. You have to go through different ups and downs, highs and lows and shit like that. So you're going to have depressing type of moments and stuff like that where, you know what I'm saying? You're going to be sitting there looking at the bad qualities or the more negative qualities or the things that make you internalize, like, damn, I'm going through this right now, or a death in the family and shit like that happening and shit like that, and I feel like crying and stuff like that. And you're gonna go through happy moments and joyous moments and shit like that, or accomplishment type of moments and stuff like that, or successful type of moments and stuff like that. You get what I'm saying? It's like that. Like y'all be like run away from life the way I be seeing it, because all of it is relative. You're gonna go through single-minded type of moments where you have to put yourself first, and then you're gonna go through polyamorous type of moments and stuff like that where you're gonna do something that's based upon a collective of things. So it's gonna help the collective, aka you and other sentient beings, from doing it in that type of way, based upon that type of practice, based upon that type of relationship and stuff like that, based upon the different networking connections that you got and stuff like that. And that would equate to whole phases and shit like that. So, you know what I'm saying? Based upon how you trying to live your life and shit like that, you just want to feel good sexually, but you're not trying to have the romantical or the platonic aspects, really the platonic aspects. You're just trying to have the sexual and the romantical aspects, but you don't care about the platonic aspects and stuff like that, and trying to be husband and wife in that type of way. You know what I'm saying? Like a monogamous type of way and stuff like that, and be tied down to one person. You just like, with my type of lifestyle that I'm living at the moment, I'd rather just fuck here and there and shit like that, but I'm really committed to my career and stuff like that. I'm really married to my career. I ain't married to this ring. I ain't married to this one person right now. You get what I'm saying? That's why a lot of Native American tribes and shit like that, if I wouldn't use that as an example, that's why they would have the kinship and their patrilineal and matrilineal kinship and like bands and companionship. They'll get married into the family and stuff like that to widen the tribe or widen the band and stuff like that, and the networking and different allies and shit like that, based upon their culture and their people, because they had a culture to uphold, some culture and agriculture to uphold, some type of creativity to uphold, some type of business avenue to uphold and stuff like that, based upon the different trading systems and the different values that people had and stuff like that. So they had a system they're trying to uphold, and based upon that system, social system, hierarchy of how they run their culture and their kinship and shit like that, that's why they would have multiple wives and stuff like that. But based upon them being married into different wives and stuff like that, having multiple wives and shit like that, is based upon some type of business or culture they're trying to uphold and stuff like that. So based upon that's like one of them being like the chief leader. If that was like today, where they got $1 million, and let's say they're like a multi-millionaire based upon what they did when it comes to entertainment and music and shit like that, and they own different music businesses, and they got married in, but from them being married in, they're gonna end up supporting that whole business and system, industry, infrastructure, like in itself. So it's beneficiaries that come with them upholding that business, and then the like, you know what I'm saying, an offspring of that is the polytheism type relationship and shit like that. So it'll be like them committed to one man, but that one man uphold a whole system based upon it's their industry and their infrastructure or their institution and shit like that, based upon what they did and the culture and the things that you know what I'm saying, that person created for themselves, and it just come with it. You know what I'm saying? Like it's basically like that. The only problem is it's that self-projection energy and stuff like that, where y'all look at it like a negative or like a bad thing if a motherfucker have a whole phase or something like that, or if a motherfucker married and is committed to multiple men, or married and committed to multiple women and shit like that, and y'all start doing that demonizing type of energy, and it only has to be some type of monogamous type of relationship and stuff like that, when both of those are man-made concepts based upon monogamous Romeo and Juliet, because it's that monotheism type of thinking and that polytheism type of thinking of theology when it comes to gods and what they look at as all possibilities, because God is just all possibilities and stuff like that. And the way they look at God is in a deity type of way and stuff like that. So from them looking at it in like a deity type of way, it's just idol worship. You know what I'm saying? You just getting lost into idol worship, and y'all idolizing that one thought and one idea, and y'all getting lost into adultery of that that iconography of that thought and idea, and y'all just trying to uphold that. So from y'all getting lost into that idol worship and stuff like that, y'all don't want to look at all possibilities in any other way. Y'all just only look at it like, oh, it's only possible through this God, this deity, this way of how to go about it. And then it's going to go into that monotheism way of looking at it, and it's going to go into that polytheism way of looking at it. So them having multiple deities, multiple gods, they like serving multiple masters, and that's what turned into this man-made concept when it comes to monogamous relationships and polyamorous type of relationships and stuff like that. When it's all just man-made concepts and stuff like that, you have to do what's relative to you. There is no moral high ground trying to do it in that type of way and stuff like that. And then you're trying to block off certain possibilities of you not always living your life like that. So it's always relative to what you fuck with and what you do and don't like and stuff like that. And don't try to self-project that in so much shape or form and stuff like that. And it's the way you live in your life at the moment. So how motherfuckers be in high school and college years and stuff like that, they live in a whole phase and stuff like that. So they're committed to a whole bunch of different relationships and stuff like that. And y'all just fucking and doing a whole bunch of different romantical type of dates and stuff like that. But y'all ain't committed in a platonic type of way. And then monogamous type of motherfuckers who probably want to be acided or not have sex until they married and committed and stuff like that and get a ring on and stuff like that, right? That's like, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's like that the way that's relative with how you like to conduct relationships and shit like that. So when a motherfucker be sitting there all like, they try to take intellectual property over somebody from that way of thinking when it comes to monogamous type of ways of thinking or monotheistic type of ways of thinking and stuff like that, you just want a motherfucker to look at you like you God and stuff like that from that self-projection type of energy and stuff like that. So the only way you can look at it like cheating or like betrayal and stuff like that if y'all agreed upon that. So y'all both look at it the same way, and that's the reason that the relationship started like that in the first place. And that's really the main point I'm trying to say. It's the starting point of what y'all trying to create the relationship as. And the more y'all try to have cultural or spiritual type relationship, so the space y'all both in and y'all both related in the same space, and then it conduct into a certain mentality, a certain mind state, a certain thought or idea that y'all both trying to uphold, is going to turn into the physical material type of relationship and stuff like that. It's going to get condensed into the flesh in some way, shape, or form, and the external tools and technology that get made from the flesh based upon the starting point of where y'all both trying to relate and create for yourselves and cultivate for yourselves, and y'all both in the same mind state, so to speak, to make it like mad simple. So y'all have to understand the mind state y'all both was in when y'all both started creating that type of relationship, and y'all both have to be in agreement on that so y'all can have a better relationship overall. You know what I'm saying? And then if y'all want to call it monogamous, or if y'all want to call it polyamorous in some way, shape, or form, y'all all have to be consensual and be in agreement upon that. But the spirituality or the individuality or the space y'all was in has to get created first. Y'all have to create that first, and it's going to condense into a certain mentality, and it's going to get condensed into the flesh or the body and the external technology and tools that get made from the flesh to make that be conducted so it can get uphold, so motherfuckers don't be complaining and stuff like that, and y'all can stop that self-projection type of energy of some type of high moral standard, high moral ground, stuff like that. Oh, well, this a better way if you could a monogamous type relationship, and this a better way of how to go about it when it's a polyamorous type relationship, when it's all just idol worship at the end of the day, and it's all just man-made concepts. So you as a man and woman, what type of man and woman y'all trying to be when y'all relate? So it take y'all out of Lionsgate or Paramount Studios or Walt Disney type of thinking and stuff like that, and Romeo and Juliet type thinking, or when motherfuckers be like young hoes or fucking y'all be overly freaked out because of this, that, and third. It take y'all out that thinking. No, you have to go relative with what resonate with you at that time, for the most part. You know what I'm saying? Because everything is always a transitional period. Birth is a transition. Life is a transition. Death is a transition. The same way like the seasons and stuff like that. Like spring is a transition, and summertime is a transition, and goddamn fall time is a transition, and winter is a transition. It's the same thing. So it's whatever world y'all trying to create for yourselves, in the type of, you know what I'm saying, like relationship you trying to build based upon the space y'all was in, and the more y'all feed that mind, y'all try to uphold that, you know what I'm saying, y'all have something to work for, and something that's y'all relative, that's beyond just the flesh. So it's not just about the sex, it's not just about the money or the monetary gain, or it's not just, you know what I'm saying, the examples you see based upon the external world and the different programs they put out that be really just self-projection of how they want y'all to conduct relationship. You end up relating in your own way that's one of a kind, you know what I'm saying, because you start personalizing it, you start individualizing it, and then you know what I'm saying, based upon the space that you in, you're only gonna attract motherfuckers who in the same space as you, and it's based upon what you're paying attention to, and based upon which y'all giving attention to, y'all end up giving attention to the right things and not the wrong things, and you don't get played for a fucking fool, and a motherfucker end up going against what y'all trying to create and cultivate for yourselves. They know that from the gate. So it's gonna be something y'all both working towards that's beyond just the flesh or the monetary gain or the external world, and y'all end up fighting that fight. So it's going to turn into, oh, I'm trying to uphold this relationship, or it lasted a long time because this is my companion. This is my ally. This is a means to an end. We both in the same space. We both trying to cultivate something together. We're trying to fight for that. You know what I'm saying? We're both in the same space based upon the sentiment that we in. You end up fighting for a certain mentality. Y'all end up fighting for the same sentiment and shit like that. And then motherfuckers want to call it, oh, this is the ultimate monogamous mentality or sentimentality, or this is the ultimate polygamous mentality, sentimentality and shit like that. Okay, so be it. But you ain't looking at it from that lens. You looking at it like, oh, we both look at life the same way. So we gonna look at the relationship the same way, and we both trying to build on that. And that's the thing that's gonna make your relationship last a long time. And then y'all don't get lost into fucking Walt Disney Lionsgate type of thinking, different programs they put out here to make y'all look at relationships, and you end up making your own way of how to relate and being relatable, and you end up finding other motherfuckers in the same sentimentality and same temperament that you in, and the same character that y'all in, and y'all able to develop some fucking inspirational characteristics or power couple type of mentality that y'all be looking for, and y'all end up making more fruitful Garden and Eden type of mentalities and shit like that. You know what I'm saying? You end up doing some fruitful type of things, inspiring type of things, instead of hanging on to low-hanging fruit based upon the examples y'all have out here and stuff like that when it comes to Gen Z and shit like that. Because Gen Z dating be fucking trash. And that's the main point I was trying to say. Y'all dating and the way y'all look at relationship be fucking trash and shit like that. Y'all not relating the right way. And then y'all be taking advice from the wrong motherfuckers and shit like that who be fucking crashing out and shit like that. And then, you know what I'm saying? You're able to see it in a lighter shape and form, and you can see that shit from a mile away of who's actually having some type of power dynamic, power couple relationship mentality, sentimentality for real, based upon what they creating for themselves, and they fighting for some type of culture, or they fighting for some type of space that they both in that go beyond just the flesh, not just the fucking a motherfucking having a horse or shawty having a crazy twat or some shit like that. It go beyond the flesh. And then the sex is just an offspring of that. So they're able to resonate and they're able to go together so well because they're both in the same mind state first. You get what I'm saying? Like that's the main point I'm trying to say. But yeah.